Sometimes the brightest thoughts come after the darkest experiences, for the pure man and the pure woman are the most sought after targets of the grandiose devil, for the grandiose devil is jealous in his hellish pugnaciousness. Step into the work of the stark, fanatical ineffability. For the pure-hearted banish fear through faithful love, which is something that the demonic forces yearn to squash entirely. Why? Because in this world, it's either to be crushed by the weight of your own naive niceness or to stand up to the grandiose devil like a godlike savage. Now that's an excerpt from my book in the book of Oldishness, and I want it to be entirely clear that your soul is untouchable. Your soul is untouchable. All of this fear regarding how demons are coming to take your souls and demons are, they're going to be able to do this. It's like, well, yeah, only if you think that they can, and only if you invite the devil into your house, so to speak. And when I say the devil or demons, I just mean highly negative spirits, you could say, like from the lower world, you might add. Because in shamanism, there's the upper world and the lower world in these, planes of consciousness, where the upper world is more where the angelic-like spirits dwell, and this lower world is where the hellish spirits dwell. And so I like to think of it as more of like hellishness and heavenliness, and then there's earthliness in the middle. And earthliness encompasses both hellishness and heavenliness simultaneously. So it's not really a thing. It's not a noun. It's a quality. It's a quality of life. It's a state of mind. Because again, you are only a target if you think you're a target. Now, this is not to say that there's not going to be hellishness in your life. It's just that you're not as attached to the spiritual attacks as you once were. You just notice the spiritual attacks, but you don't see that there's someone else that's attacking you. You have collapsed the timeline in which you perceive others to be attacking you. And I genuinely think that this only can arise in you, this regal narrative structure. And those that are Regal Change old timers will be familiar with this language, is that the regal narrative structure can only exist when you trust, and you trust more in the consistency of your positivity than you do in the consistency of your negativity. Because when you trust in clarity, you trust the soul of existence to bring you clarity, you have to see nothing else other than the trust of clarity. And there's a lot of people who, when they start to glow up, especially if you're a man with a full sack, holy smokes, if you got a full sack as a man and you are just operating on all cylinders, yeah, you best believe that the grandiose devil. So in my book, I meet a grandiose devil who is essentially like the pinnacle of the devils in this domain that I experienced. Because in this book, I encounter many different types of what I call characters of the unconscious. And so this is a documentation of the visions, well, at least many of the visions that I had in 2020 specifically, where that was really like the height of a lot of the visions that I had. Like, they were very personal. It was profoundly personal. And yet at the same time, it was not personal at all. And in retrospect, it showed me that there really is no such thing as personality. And personality is really what you create it to be, and that you don't have to be set into a specific identity so much. And this is part of what it means to be glowing up, is that you're going to upset the demons, but you only upset them because you think that the demons still exist. Like, once you see how perfect everything is, once you see the planes of consciousness in which we can operate on simultaneously, yes, you're in the earthliness and you're in the practicality. Because I genuinely, and I've experienced this, like, we cannot truly transcend in our spirituality until we accept the practicality of this earthly plane of consciousness. It's just the case. And somebody asked me recently, well, how do I raise my kundalini? Because they wanted a mystical answer, right? They wanted me as this, because I offer my godlike mastery offer, right? So we go in pretty deep in those, in those sessions and such, for specifically for the godlike mastery, because that's for people who are ready for it. And even in the Regal Academy, we have people that are very attuned to what you might call the spirit of the depths. And so we can go pretty deep there. But if you're attached to certain perspectives, that's not going to work in neither my Godlike Mastery offer nor in my Regal Academy. And it's not because I have a belief system of certain things. It's just that if you're attached to something and I seemingly contradict you and hurt your ego maybe, but love never really feels like terrible, right? Love never really feels like ouch. True love, agape love, you might say, like the Stoic version of love, is more so about just pure oneness of life. Of course, the all is one and one is all. So it's almost as if you can't hurt other people because it would be hurting you. I mean, this is why I don't really kill anything unless I have to anymore. Like, unless it's like a, of course there must be life to have death and death to have life, but it's like the bugs that show up every now and again in my house, which they don't really show up very often. But there was actually a bee just a couple weeks ago that kept flying in. It kept flying in, and I would just guide it out. I would guide it out, and it would come back in somehow. I knew it was the same bee, and I was talking to it like it was my friend. I was like, "Hey, listen, bee, I don't want there to be any trouble here, but I trust that you know what you're doing, but there's flowers out there. Like, there's food out there. You're not going to get flowers here, man." And so I was talking to the bee. I was talking to the bee just like that. And, then it flew out and it never came back. So I genuinely have experienced where you can be in your own domain. You can have dominion of your own domain. And people might try to test those boundaries and such, but in the Bible it says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. That's okay. Because if you think about good and evil as a form, those are the most pure forms of oneness, right? Is good and evil. There's also, this is also one of the reasons why I did videos in black and white for so long at one point. Not for like a long time, but just like a few weeks. And the reason being was because I wanted to demonstrate artistically that life kind of is black and white in its most pure way, in its most pure form. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we didn't have color on our television. Okay, remember television, telepathy, teleport. These are all mind. It's all part of the tele. Okay, the mind, the satellite, electromagnetic satellite that you are. And so anyway, when I was thinking about this, resist the devil and he will flee from you. That's a mode of consciousness in which if you just don't even acknowledge the devil, there's not going to be a devil. So like, ignore reality. Stop putting yourself in unnecessary suffering. Stop putting yourself in these romanticized narratives and start creating a regal narrative structure that you can project into not other people or onto other people rather, but into the symbolic narrative field. The regal timeline theory that I've been cultivating and working on, and I've got a new book that I'm writing on the regal timeline theory specifically because it's going to change. Like, I know that it's going to blow people's minds because even as I'm writing it, like, it's blowing my mind and it's blowing me. It's blowing who I thought I was continually away. And it's so interesting because it's not something that like I created. It's something that was always there in the internal architecture of my being. And now just through the practice of godlike mastery and the process and trusting the process, that's how this has been cultivated. So really what I want to hone in on in this video is that when your glow up disrupts the demons of other people, recognize that those were once part of you. Those demons were once part of you, and now you're meeting the projection. Okay, because you don't create the projection, you meet the projection. It's the same thing with like reptilians or Saturnists or whatever. Like, you don't create those things. You meet the projection of those things that were already inside you. You can transcend this. Okay, you can transcend this. Don't get so caught up in the romanticized narrative of your own suffering that you hinder your own ability to see the truth and accept love into your heart. Because that is exactly why I said the pure man and the pure woman is the target of the grandiose devil in my book. Well, who do you think the grandiose devil is? And who do you think the pure woman or pure man is in your mind? It's you. Hello. Hello. I don't know why, but I got the hello spring summer or summer spring blowout or whatever that is from Frozen. You, yeah, you. You. Oh man. I haven't seen Frozen for so long. I went with my sister when we were still like a family. I went with my sister seeing that. Oh gosh, we probably saw that 3 or 4 times in the theater. And my sister loved it so much. I don't know, I guess that's a very interesting thing to think about. I'd wonder why Frozen captured the collective consciousness the way that it did. I mean, it was pretty funny, I suppose, in some parts and some points. And the music was okay as well, you know. Let it go, let it go. Yeah, everybody knows that. It's been drilled into our collective conscious mind. But anyway, yeah, I think that these people that are so caught up with like the demons and such, it's like, yes, they exist, but only if you think that they do. And people will say, well, that's a very subjective point. It's like, well, yeah. But there are truths in which, yes, there are objective truths, but the parable that I use is the rock in the river parable / example. So there's a rock in the river, and in this river there's a rock. Now on this side of the river it may look flat. On that side of the river the rock may look kind of round. But then once you get inside the river, well, maybe there's, it looks like it's floating. Well, depending on your perspective is going to be dependent on how you see the rock. Now, nobody disputes that there's a rock. Everybody that sees the rock knows that there's a rock. But how you see it depends entirely upon your perspective. So what I'm saying is that there's a piece in the stark fanatical ineffability, which I describe in my book. The stark fanatical ineffability is essentially the process of enlightenment, you could say. It's just like a wow. You know, you can't say anything about it because the minute that you say something about it, you distort it. So it's so, so all my videos are absolutely worthless to you. Just, but that's also the thing. It's like you can only guide people with words. It's not going to be something that you can visualize in your mind necessarily. Like your mind, well, how do I say this properly? Your mind is not going to be able to conceptualize it. You're going to have to see it with your mind's eye. That's the proper way to say that. So you're going to have to see this with your mind's eye. And if you're hell bent, if you're hell bent on seeing your own suffering, then there's nothing I can do for you anyway. There's nothing I can do. This is not the place for you. Because here we are, and I've had a lot of these types of conversations recently with different people, and it's truly astounding to me to see how people are hell-bent, literally, on creating their own unnecessary suffering. Even when, you know, they're faced with this possibility for truth, and because love is truth and truth is love, of course, right? And that's what Christ means when he says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And then if you read the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna pretty much says the same thing. And Krishna is God in this book. So it's like, they're all the religions are saying the same thing. It's just a matter of how do you want to go about it. Again, it's like nobody disputes there's a rock, but how do you see the rock is going to be dependent upon your perspective. And people who are, like, I've noticed this with Christians, they get super fixated on, no, Christ is the only king. It's like, well, yeah, but no. Like, yes, he is, but he's also not. Again, it depends entirely upon the perspective in which you're approaching the rock. Because nobody can dispute that Christ itself, Christ as a concept, because let's assume for a second that Jesus Christ never existed. He was not a real man. Let's just assume. And Aristotle says that a educated person can entertain an idea without accepting it. So if you can't entertain this possibility, then you might as well just, I don't know why you're still watching. But let's entertain the possibility that Christ as a man never existed. Jesus Christ as a man never existed. Does that degrade the story of the Gospels? Absolutely not. So what's important then? Well, it's embodying the teachings of the story. It's the same thing with the Bhagavad Gita. Was Krishna really a blue man, you know, that created and transcended all these, these yogas and yogis and all that? Like, for me, it doesn't really matter. What matters is this worth embodying or is it not? Is this teaching worth embodying or is it not? This is why I say I'm the godlike mastery education. I'm not the educator. I'm not the master. I'm the education of mastery. So don't get attached to these perceptions, because I'm not even saying, like, here's the thing. I'm not even saying that, like, what that perspective is would cancel out your perspective. If you believe Krishna is God, or if you believe Jesus of Nazareth is God, well, the thing that I would say then is, yeah, they're all God, and so are you. So a lot of people will get upset at that because they don't want to have, like, well, no, I'm limited though. I'm a limited being. Well, yeah, if you keep telling yourself that, yes, yeah, you are. I can't encourage limitations though anymore. I can't encourage you not to glow. I can't encourage you to not be your best version of yourself, the most godlike version of yourself. I can't do that anymore, guys. I'm sorry. I can't. because I know you're more than this, because I've seen that I'm more than that. And when I'm talking to you, I'm really just talking to me, talking to you. So we're all helping each other be the help, as far as I'm concerned. So don't let the demons or like these, because yes, they are real in some aspects. Like the experience can be very real, but it doesn't make it true. Okay, it's just like a horror movie, right? Like, have you ever seen a horror movie that you actually get jump scared? Well, your body transmuted that or translated that as like a real scare, right? But you know that the movie is not real, so it's not really that scary for you. You know, so it's the same type of thing with this life. It's all a dream. Nothing matters. And that's the great news. I know that sounds kind of like not, but it's it's the great positive news is you can create whatever you want. And it's going to be your responsibility. You're the creator of your own life to some degree. How you see that? Now, I'm not saying that you're God, but I'm not saying that you're not God. This is where people who do not understand or understand, because to understand something means to like stand beneath authority. The only authority that there is the soul of existence, which is the Lord, or whatever, however you want to call it, right? Whatever you want to call it, however you want to call it. The Lord is just the life, as far as I'm concerned. So be blessed. And if this resonates with you, if you're not getting your ego like too hurt by this stuff, then it's definitely time for you to make a change and a transformation with me, and take this as your sign to do so. So peace be with you, be blessed, and until next time.